All right, I am here with Jim Taylor. Jim, you got a big title fight coming up in Pottstown on February 22nd at USKA. So first, I believe this is your first fight with USKA. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us where you train and your hometown?
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, this is my first fight with you guys. I live in Pittsburgh, a little bit outside of Pittsburgh, actually. I train at the Academy of Pittsburgh with Kama Worthy. So a lot of people know that name from his UFC exploits, I guess, is the way to put it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And you're fighting for Dan Inch for the senior title. So there's no secret you guys are a little older than everybody else. So the question always comes up, and not to be redundant, but why are you still doing this at your age?
I got into this after I got away from semi-professional football a few years ago, and I wanted something to get back into shape, right? I was carrying a little bit of weight because I played safety, and I didn't need that anymore. I got into it just because my gym had a Muay Thai program, and I kind of liked it. And after I did it for a few months, they said, you seem like you might be all right. Might be the kind of guy that would fight. They liked what they saw, so I stayed with it, and just been kind of doing it since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how long between right now and your first fight? When was your first fight?
My first fight was in 2021.
2021.
Yeah, so I started training, and then COVID kind of happened. So I kind of lost that whole, 2020 and part of 2021, and then we were starting to ramp up to have a fight before that. But then that's when we finally I zeroed in, and I went out to TBAs and did that thing.
Yeah, very good, very good. Hey, how about some of those pictures on the wall behind you? Tell me about some of those.
Oh, okay. Well, for work, there's a lot of times where I'm on team or Zoom calls. COVID kind of changed that, right? So, I kind of like to have a little bit of a personalized background, but I got a picture from a fight out at TBA's. Was pretty cool. Musically, I'm really into like MF Doom, Wu-Tang, those kind of guys. Picture me and my wife, me and my daughter, and then me and my stepson. So, kind of a little bit of who I am. It kind of gives with customers and build relationships. It's kind of one of those things where I want them to know what they're getting into. Not just the sales guy saying buy.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's what we want with these little interviews or talks or whatever, just to let the USKA crowd kind of know who's coming to town. How do you feel about fighting Dan Inch? I mean, this is basically in his hometown. You got a few-hour drive coming in from Pittsburgh, so where's your mindset with all that, and how you feeling going into the fight?
Well, there's the part of me that on one shoulder that's like, well, let's go in and mess up his party. He's got everybody there, right? I mean, I watched his interview. He's about 5-10 minute drive from where his gym is. Yep. But really, for me, I feel fortunate to have the chance. At a belt too. Wow. I mean, I would have came out without that. That's like kind of icing on the cake. But for me, it's still another test. Kind of a different guy than I've fought before. I've never fought anybody that's even a hair shorter than me. And I think he's a couple inches shorter than me. I've been fighting bigger guys. So for me, it's a test. He's also a coach at his gym, so there's probably a higher level skill than maybe I'm used to seeing. So I'm excited about testing myself.
Very good, very good. And how about you? Are you training fighters at this point leading up to this fight, or are you just training for your fight by yourself?
Oh, my gym has a mix of guys. There's guys that are fighting. My coach is still fighting. So there, yeah. I mean, but my gym there's a weird mix of MMA guys and Muay Thai guys. So there's some guys that accidentally slip up and take me down sometimes in between combos, and then there's other guys. So I have a good mix of also like beginners and then very seasoned guys that I get to go with. Because I mean, even though like I'm an older guy, I've really been doing this hard for about 4 years.
Right. Do you train MMA, and is there a risk of you taking Dan Inch down by accident?
I do not train MMA. I roll a little bit, but I don't train it for fighting. It's just more to kind of get more well-rounded and see that jiu-jitsu is definitely something that if I could have taken up 4, 5, 6 years ago, maybe I'd be ready to talk about now. But no, I understand. I don't want no parts of that.
How does your wife and your children feel about this?
Well, it's kind of funny. My daughter's never seen me fight. She's a little, she's out on her own because I am a little older guy. And my wife, I think, is kind of ready for me to be done with it. but she's also, she also understands part of that's got to be on my terms. So,
Right.
you
Right.
know, so it's kind of in between.
Very
Kind of
good.
subject, but not the greatest one sometimes.
How does a typical training week look for you in a training camp?
Well, for me, there's generally the Tuesday night class, Wednesday night sparring, Thursday class, and then Friday. Sometimes there's sparring on Friday for me as well, and then Saturday morning I have like an advanced training. Plus, in between, because of my work schedule, I can fit in some of my cardio and weightlifting, because that part of it's still very important to me too.
Right. And how long did you play semi-pro football?
Well, I played football all the way through high school, college. I played some professional football in Canada, and then I got away from it for a while when I retired. So I was playing semi-pro for a few years with a local team here. We were fortunate enough to win a few national championships, things like that.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, the WPA Wildcats. A lot of people have maybe heard of that franchise, but we were a staple in Florida for a while.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. And do you miss that? I would imagine a little bit. Yeah.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. The pro world was one thing. Semi-pro is a completely different kind of thing. Guys that they couldn't get off their ship, they don't show up for a game. So sometimes you think you're playing one position, they're playing a couple. It's kind of a wild thing.
Right. Very good. So Muay Thai and this world is kind of filling that gap for you, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that my competitive side, there has to be, like it may be kind of weird, but you look at practice and everything, like especially when you play football or whatever, and now with fighting, you look at practice as kind of like your work, and then fight days the paycheck.
Right.
There has to be some kind of goal for me. Something at the end of it that's kind of like a little bit of a reward. So I think that's what keeps it going for me. But at my age, we'll see.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned your age again. So what are your goals at this point with the Muay Thai world? What do you want to do from here on out?
Well, I want to come out here and win this fight, and then we'll see from there. There's I gotta also listen to I listen to my body, but I gotta listen to my wife too.
Right.
She's put up with some stuff for many years on the athletic side, so we'll have to see. I'm always going to stay in shape, but who knows? We'll see what happens.
Very good. Well, hey, this is the first time I was ever talked to you, and I didn't know any of that stuff really. So that's awesome. We are looking forward to this fight. Dan Inch is a great guy. You seem like a great guy. Both fairly solid fighters. I mean, this should be a great title fight for us. Jim, I want to give you the last word, and then I will see you in I guess exactly 1 week.
Yeah, well, thank you again for the opportunity. Thanks, Dan, for taking the fight. Just look forward to coming out and fighting my fight. And I don't want to be a jerk, but I might have to disappoint a few people out there next weekend.
All right. That's it. February 22nd in Pottstown, PA. Jim, I look forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you. Look forward to meeting you too.
Take care.
You too.